Welcome everyone to season 6, episode 20 of the Focus TV. Got quite a bit to get through tonight, but as always, we're joined by Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardo Dudley Jr., Wilson Tyree Jr. Again, welcome to this week's edition of the Focus TV. Octavia, we told everybody the draft was happening. Some people did not handle how their team's draft played out very well. Other folks are in La La Land. That said, let's check on NFC East.
Yeah, the draft was crazy, as the draft is pretty much every year. I mean, the very beginning of it was wild. Bryce Young went 1, CJ Stroud went 2, and then the Houston Texans just decided, let's just take number 3 too, to take Will Anderson. So it was a bang of a start to a draft. But in the NFC East, I personally believe everybody had a pretty decent draft. If you want to say decent, you want to say good, you want to say great. Looking at most of the draft boards and the draft grades and analyzing some things, pretty much everybody got at least a B or higher, with their draft falls. So I'll go from highest to lowest, and y'all already know who highest is. The Philadelphia Eagles, they did receive an A grade, one of the top draft classes so far. Well, I'll say so far, but this year, they did get Jalen Carter. They moved up from 10th to 9th. DC from Georgia also got his teammate at 30th in the first round, Nova Smith, DN from Georgia. And in the third round, with the 65th pick, they picked Tyler Steen, offensive line from Alabama. Third round, right after that, with the 66th pick, they also traded up for that. They got Sidney Brown, defensive back from Illinois. Then in the fourth round, in the 105th pick, they got Keely Ringo, cornerback, from Georgia. In the sixth round, 188th pick, they picked Tanner McKee, quarterback from Stanford, and rounded it out in the seventh round with the 249th pick of Mora Ojomo, defensive tackle from Texas. I just think they had a great draft. I honestly still believe, had Atlanta not chosen Bijan Robinson, I really feel like they would have did it. Maybe, maybe not. Howie doesn't seem to really go outside of his strategy, so maybe he would not have done it. But I thought it was a possibility. But for a running back to go 5th overall is kind of crazy. I think it was 5th or the 8th, one of them. I think it's 5th. But I mean, everybody knows everything that was surrounding Jalen Carter. To see him, slip to 9th was a win for us, to put him in a group where, yes, everybody is calling us the Philadelphia Bulldogs or the Georgia Beagles, whatever you want to call it at this point, because there are a number of Georgia players, especially on the defense, that is on this team. It seems like they have Georgia defense, Alabama offense. I'm kind of cool with that. Works for me. Outside of one player also that was probably the biggest. It seems like we always have a big trade in the draft, which I'm always cool with when it's a good situation. DeAndre Swift was traded from the Detroit Lions to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Detroit Lions took Jahmyr Gibbs early on in the draft, so they were kind of crowded there with Gibbs and Swift, and they also signed David Montgomery over the offseason. So it was reported that DeAndre Swift stated as soon as that happened, he wanted out. Hometown kid coming back. I think it'll be a great fit as long as he stays healthy. That will be the big question mark in the running back room with him, as well as Rashad Penny. So all in all, I think it was a really great draft that they had defenses, stacked at this point, especially for a team coming off of a Super Bowl loss. To kind of get these type of players in a draft, I think was great value. So they were one of the highest draft grades that was given out, alongside the Seattle Seahawks, who also had a really good draft. Do not want to see their secondary. That is crazy. New York Giants, consensus is they also received an A or A minus, whatever you want to call it. In the first round, they got the 24th pick with Deontay Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. Second round, on the 57th pick, John Michael Schmitz. I just keep thinking of this song. Center from Minnesota. A pick I really like in the third round, 73rd pick, Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee. In the fifth round, 172nd pick, Eric Gray, running back from Oklahoma. In the sixth round, 209th pick, Trey Hawkins III, cornerback from Old Dominion. And in the 7th round, with the 243rd pick, Jordan Bradley, defensive tackle from Oregon. And in the 7th round, 254th pick, Jervarius Owens, safety from Houston. I think for them, a center was a big need for them. And it's nice to see them actually go out and get somebody that's their natural position. So I think that's going to be a good staple for them on their offensive line, which always, they seem to have issues with every year. So maybe they finally get it solidified. I really like the Jalen Hyatt pickup. I mean, his body shape is kind of Devontae Smith-esque. Very slim, slender, tall, lanky, long arms. I want to see how that translates into the league. Just like a lot of people were wondering about Devontae, I'm sure they'll have the same thoughts about Jalen as well. I think I watched some of the ESPN shows they had for the rookies and everything, and he was talking about how his trainer got him eating all his food every 5 minutes, trying to get him bulked up. So he knows it's a priority. He knows that they hit harder in the league and that he's going to have to be able to take and withstand those pressures and that hit. So, but I think him, Isaiah Hodgins, Darren Waller, they actually got some offensive weapons for Daniel Jones if they all pan out. Because once upon a time ago, we thought Kenny Golladay would pan out. We saw how that happened. But I'm praying and hoping for the kid. I think he'll be a good fit out there in New York. Next, we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys. They also received a B. So I think they also had a solid draft. Excuse me. In the first round of the 26th pick, they picked Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Second round, the 58th pick, Luke Schoonmaker, tight end from Michigan. Third round, 90th pick, DeMarvion Overshown, linebacker from Texas. Fourth round, 129th pick, Valami Fehoko Jr., D-end from San Jose State. Fifth round, 160th pick, Asim Richards, offensive tackle from North Carolina. Sixth round, 178th pick, Eric Scott Jr., cornerback from Southern Mississippi. Sixth round, 212th pick, Deuce Vaughn, running back, Kansas State. And in the 7th round, Jalen Brooks, with the 244th pick, Jalen Brooks, wide receiver from South Carolina. If you haven't seen the video with Deuce Vaughn, running back from Kansas State, getting drafted, his father is a scout for the Dallas Cowboys. It's very heartwarming. It's nice to see, those type of things happen in the draft where, these kids get to live out their dreams. And, his dad even said, you want to come to work with me next week? He was like, yeah, I think I can do that. So it was nice to see that. I think he's a good back. He's probably not as big as you would, possibly want, I guess, if that's the type of running back you're looking for, but he's very shifty. I think he'll be a good addition, especially because they're still going to be looking for somebody to really shore up that second position and maybe somebody to start out because we know with Tony Pollard coming off of that broken tibia, ankle, foot area situation, and them not really having anybody else back there. It'll be interested to see what the running back core is going to be for them going forward. I really like the tight end pickup for them. I think they need to get a tight end after losing some in the off season. But all in all, I think they had a really good draft. I'm interested to see how everything works out. Of course, Mozzie Smith, first round defensive tackle, just more heat to their defense as well. They're a great defensive team, and they're just adding more top tier talent out there. I don't necessarily like it. Being an Eagles fan, but I hope my offensive line will show up and we won't even have to worry about that. But yeah, all in all, I think they had a pretty good draft as well. Last but not least, the Washington Commanders, they also received the consensus of a B grade in their draft as well. In the first round with the 16th pick, they took Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. Second round, 47th pick, Jartavius Martin, cornerback from Illinois. In the third round, with the 97th pick, Ricky Stromberg, center from Arkansas. Fourth round, 118th pick, Braden Daniels, guard from Utah. Fifth round, 137th pick, KJ Henry, DN from Clemson. Sixth round, 193rd pick, Chris Rodriguez Jr., running back from Kentucky. And in the 7th round, Andre Jones Jr., DN, Louisiana. The one thing this draft told me for them was that they're really cool with Jacoby Brissett, Sam Howell, and that's who they rocking with this season, it seems like. So maybe, and granted, I think it tells a lot because I believe Eric Bieniemy is a great coach. And if he feels comfortable with these people, maybe he's going to show us something that maybe other coaches couldn't. Granted, Jacoby's been around for a little while. Sam is still, he'll be going into his second year, really only played in one game last year. So he has a lot that he still needs to show us to see if he's going to be that franchise quarterback for them. As we know, they've been searching for one for a while now. Yeah, the cornerback Emmanuel Forbes, I think he was a great pickup too. He's a little undersized, and I think that's the biggest knock on him coming out of college is that he's a little undersized. I saw a clip where he did an interview with some of the Washington Commanders media, and they asked him, what's one player that you're looking forward to playing against in the league? Like somebody can be for a good reason, bad reason, whatever it is. And my man here decided that he wanted to call out Devontae Smith, and I don't know how I feel about that. He stated that I guess he has a vendetta. Devontae Smith had 250 yards on him on his his freshman year in college, and I guess he's never forgotten that. They'll get to face each other two times this season. Emmanuel is expected to be, day one starter for them at that position, as we know that that's one of the positions that they're also looking to shore up. But all in all, I think they had a pretty good class. Another quick note with them outside of the draft is they did not pick up Chase Young's fifth-year option. So that's going to be interesting if, what Chase is able to do this year. We know he's been injured, but we know when he's not injured, he's a problem. So I think he had a lot of time off last year. I think he's had a lot of time to rehab. And I think that, not getting his fifth-year option usually makes somebody kind of, perk up and be like, oh, okay, that's what y'all see. Cool. Because we saw the same thing happen in Las Vegas with Josh Jacobs when they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, and we saw what he did last year. So wishing the success for him. He's a great kid, and I think he has a tremendous upside as long as he can stay healthy. But all in all, I mean, the NFC East is on the come up. It's a little wild, for, like I said, for a long time, it's been the NFC least, and now it's really some comparable teams, putting some good drafts together. I keep saying that if and when the Washington Commanders are sold, if they get some competent leaders in there, it's going to be a little wild because we haven't seen one in there for a while. So all in all, I mean, the NFC East is on an upswing, and it's going to be an interesting season. Now that the draft's over, it kind of slows down a little bit. You'll hear more about those free agents that still haven't signed are going to start trying to figure out where they're going to end up going. And closer and closer to, more off-season activities and closer to mini camps, rookie mini camps. So super excited, but I already wish it was August.
Yeah, and just a little note for what that class that Chase was drafted, the year that Chase was drafted, that is something going across that whole class right now. Like as of right now, out of that group, I think only 12 players in the first round are scheduled to have their fifth round option picked up. So that free agent, like next year's free agency, is going to be filled with 25 and 26-year-olds, and a lot of that is due with much of it has that class has just been oft injured, like almost that whole class. The majority of them have suffered injury. And, it's the NFL. They're already not going to pay folks what they're worth. They definitely not about to sign up and pay you early. If they don't have to, they'll find a reason not to. That's it. NBA playoffs. We talked to you guys last week. We knew where things stood. Had a game 7 out west. We saw Steph go crazy. Told them folks to light the beam on the way out.
Wow.
We saw the first round out west, second round out west, begun for some folks the Joker. Denver is looking like I don't know what they would have been if he had a full complement of players this whole time, but what I do know is they're up 2-0. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the playoffs at this point. This week, Cardell, we'll start with you, then Octavia, then Ray.
Well, I'm gonna start with the game that's currently going. Miami and the Knicks. Interesting game 1. I think that Miami Heat did a good job of balling up Brunson so he couldn't close. And the zone also bothered the Knicks greatly. But I think people underestimate. I mean, Jimmy's still doing what Jimmy does, but I think people underestimate the impact of Kevin Love, man. They're undefeated with him in the starting lineup. That's how they were able to finish off the Bucks, and that's how they were able to get the first game. With his ability to spread the floor, give him easy baskets with his passing, rebound, solid defender, and obviously he has championship pedigree. You know what I'm saying? He understands what this moment is about. It's just something that you just couldn't get, man. And I keep going back to how the Cavs fell apart later in the season in the playoffs, losing him, to now how the Miami Heat has been elevated. He's complimenting Bam so much, and the way he can spread the floor, it's hard for guys to help. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for guys to help, especially when Jimmy get going, doing the damage he's doing, and Bam been playing lights out. Anything in the mid range, he's knocking it down, dunking, and he's been an anchor defensively, even when they go somewhat man to man out of the zone, out of the 2-3 zone. They've been lights out defensively, man. And the Knicks, they haven't figured it out. And the Knicks, it seemed like even right now in the game, they're just stuck on trying to shoot them out of the zone instead of trying to execute them out of that zone. And until they figure that out, it's gonna be tough. You know what I mean? The Heat are up right now, currently 43-38, and there's no Jimmy on the Knicks home floor. And you damn sure don't want to go back to Miami down 0-2. Like, that's just bad business, man. You know what I mean? And give Jimmy enough time to recuperate again so he can come back and try to finish you off, man. So they have their work cut out for them. On the Nuggets Phoenix side, it's just the lack of depth, man. That's the price you pay for getting a superstar. You give up a lot of depth, and that's what you saw. I know they showed up a little bit in game one, but the Denver Nuggets had it going from everywhere else. Like, the entire starting lineup had damn near 20-plus points. So, it wasn't much of a resistance there, and that's why you saw the result that you had. But last game, it was a dogfight, and Phoenix was up in the third quarter. Then when Chris Paul went out, that's when they lost it, because I think Chris Paul did a good job of controlling the game to match how Joker controls the game. Meanwhile, Devin Booker and KD was getting easy points. They was finding the rhythm. But when Chris Paul got out, they had nobody to substitute and control the game at all and get them easy shots. And then the way Denver has been defending, they just clamped down on those two and said somebody else going to have to beat us. And obviously nobody did. 4 points from your bench in a playoff game is going to be tough to win on the road, win anywhere. Win at home, it's just they were non-existent. They ain't give them. They honestly, they just ain't give them nothing, man. You can sit here sugarcoat it. They got to step up now. The good news is, typically role players play better at home. So the Nuggets role players may not play as good in Phoenix, and I'm expecting the Phoenix Suns role players to elevate their game. They're gonna have to. They're already down in a 2-0 hole, man. In game one, the Suns reserve scored 24 points. The Nuggets had 23. Like I said, in game two, Suns had 4 points, but the Nuggets had 13 points between three reserves for the most part. Bruce Brown, Joe Green, and Christian Braun in a dogfight. And that was the difference in the game. Now, Chris Paul injury, I just read a report. He might be out a week. They're going to try to see how it feels in a week or so. Man, the series might be over by now. You know what I mean? That's just – that man can't catch a break. I mean, he can't catch a break in the playoffs, man. It seems like always on a hamstring. It's always like a lower body injury, man, like a hamstring, a knee. Now it's just growing, man, or just boxing out. You know what I mean? And that's a tough hill. So Campaign going to step up. Booker and KD going to have to handle point guard duties. It's going to be tough, man. You know what I mean? But no one's going to feel sorry for them. They're going to have to elevate their game and try to make it happen. On the east side, 76ers and Celtics. I don't know what the Celtics were doing defensively. Lord Jesus, man. I mean, they said basketball back. I can't tell you how many messages I got about that. They like, what the is going on, bro? Like, I swear it had to be analytic based, man. It made no sense. This man, James Harden, is looking like Houston, bro. He coming out here looking like he was back in Houston. Why in the hell aren't you doubling him and making somebody else beat y'all? 1. 2, late in the game, why is Al Horford on him? Why are y'all willingly switching Al Horford on him? That makes no sense. Now, Al Horford's a very good defender for a big. No, don't get him wrong, but he's still a big, and he's an older big. Why is he on James Harden, a hot James Harden with the game on the line, when you got Marcus Smart, the reigning defensive player of the year, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. You have all these wings that are athletic and fully capable of moving their damn feet that are used to guarding guards, and y'all leave it to y'all big. Like, it made no sense whatsoever. They deserve to lose. And the worst part is they had it going offensively. If they just played a little bit of defense, they would have just won that game. They would have won that game. And it's such a bad loss because you give Embiid more time to recuperate, and you know when he come back, it's going to be hell to pay because now he's rested. You know, even though I know his knee injury is not something to play with. When you get in a plasma injection or something, that means his knee was swelling up. I mean, it had swelled up. He needed time for that to swell down, so that means there's some damage in there. You know what I mean? So that could be an issue when he does return. But regardless, man, you give him time to recuperate, and then it's going to be even bigger monster when you come to. I just don't understand that. To put more emphasis on how bad Boston was defensively as a team, their defensive rating was 133.3. Now, for people that don't know what a defensive rating is, it's points allowed per 100 possessions. So that's how you kind of determine how good a player is. So for players in like the 90s, that means they're elite. Even in the top 100, the low hundreds, like 100, 105, they're getting the job done. Anything, when they start getting in the high 110s and all that, you got some questions. You know, you got to ask these players, like, what's going on? Like, why can't you defend? 133.3 as a team, and the best was Al Horford, ironically, with a defensive rating of 129, man. Like, nobody on the team stopped anything, man. The only thing that kept them in the game was Philly didn't stop them either, which is to be expected with no Embiid and, you know, James Harden out there and whatnot. But it goes to show you, man, you got to get stops to win, especially in the playoffs, man. And they absolutely didn't do that. I also feel like Doc Rivers coached circles around Mazzulla. I think Mazzulla was just he had no answer for the adjustments that Doc was making, man. And it showed. I think he, you know, got caught up there in the headlights, so to speak, man. He gonna have to wake up. This series gonna be over quick. For them to just snatch home court like that without Embiid is it's alarming. And obviously, you know, the big game everybody waiting for tonight, Warriors and Lakers. Obviously, Steph went off last game with the 50-point to put the kids to bed, so to speak. It's going to be interesting. I know the Warriors got home court, which people I think are underestimating. Look, the Lakers shouldn't be slept on. They've improved defensively. I love when AD and Vanderbilt are on the floor together. They cause hell. They really clamp down on opposing bigs. So Kevin Looney and Draymond, that's gonna be a nice little battle because both sides are like defensive minded front courts. But you know, obviously AD is the best out the bunch. He's gonna try to get you scoring. But then again, you got Draymond on him and Looney on him, so it's not gonna be that easy. So it's gonna be interesting to see that chess match. You know, I know everybody, LeBron still playing at a high level. Everybody's favoring that, but for some reason, Wiggins plays very good against LeBron James. He does every time. And we all know where that comes from when he got him traded. So every time you see him, he amps it up. So, and plus this is a championship Wiggins, who's not afraid of the moment, whatnot. Did a great job on Luka and all those guys. So, you know, I'm interested in seeing that matchup. And obviously in the backcourt, we all know who's the favorite in that, man. That's easy, you know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. You know, I just got to see how the front court plays out, man, because Draymond, Looney can't have the games where they're defensively locked in but don't score any points. I think they're going to have to score a little bit in the series, kind of what they did at the end, especially Draymond. Draymond came out and he did it all in the last couple games, coming off when, you know, he was suspended for one game for stepping on Sabonis. So if he can maintain that level of Draymond throughout the series, you know, I got the Warriors. But if he revert back to Draymond where, you know, he just focused on defense and trying to find Steph and Clay, it could be tough, man, because with him scoring, AD has to pay attention now. That opens things up for everybody else. Without him scoring, AD can kind of be like a cornerback just floating on the defensive end, man. And, you know, Looney is not somebody they just going to throw the ball to and look to ISO and make something happen, man. He going to get his off of, you know, picking rolls and offensive rebounds, so to speak, man. So it's going to be fun to watch, man. And then we're going to see how the reserves play, you know what I'm saying? The young boys on the Warriors, man, the Moody's, the Kumingas, and all of them, they're going to have to show up because I know the Lakers go deep into their bench with the Ruiz and all them, and they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to provide something. It can't be all on the starting lineup, especially coming off a 7-game series. So, that's my take for the playoffs.
Octavia?
Yeah. I want to start with the Sixers and Celtics series because everything Cardell said was spot on. Like, I was even sitting there watching. It was like, so we just gonna leave Al Horford on James Harden that just been scoring like easily this entire game. Like nobody ran at him. Like it just didn't make any sense. And it's the same thing I've been saying since the playoffs started with the Celtics, that it seems like they lose focus. And to me, that can come down to coaching. And we know Joe Mazzulla is, a first-year coach coaching a very talented team, and he's needing to find his way. But it was just unexpected. Like it made no sense. Like you said, if they played even a little bit of defense, they should have won this game. They were shooting 85% in the first quarter, 74% for the first half. Like those numbers are unheard of. They were knocking down everybody. But they just weren't playing any defense against the other team, and it just didn't make any sense. With no Embiid, they missed out on a golden opportunity, to keep home court number one. But then it makes it that much worse that they lost home court in game one without Embiid, and like you said, giving him more time to rest. Who knows? Maybe Embiid won't even play in the second game because they could. Excuse me, but who knows? But it was just crazy. They have to wake up. They have to start taking everything seriously, just like I feel like they had lapse of judgments or focus in the Hawks series as well, and it just seems to keep following them. So they have to wake up. It's going to be a dogfight. Somebody's going to play good defense. I mean, I think they had 40 points in the paint. That ain't going to keep happening when Embiid come back. So they missed out on a golden opportunity, and they're going to have to get that together ASAP. Knicks and the Heat. Yeah, I mean, I really thought the Knicks would come out a little bit better. I thought that they would kind of be able to, because they've been playing really good defense, team defense and individual defense throughout the playoffs. And I thought that they would be a little bit better. But like you said, Kevin Love is like an X factor that nobody really talks about. His ability to stretch the floor with his shooting, as well as his outlet passing and the things that he's able to do for them. Maybe, they talk about players that come mid-season really don't always get into their groove that fast. It seems like he's finally hitting his groove. And then they had their shooters. I mean, their shooters were actually making shots. I know we talked about Duncan Robinson, stepping in for Tyler Hero, who had a hand injury. And, he's had a down year in shooting after he got paid all that money. He's starting to show up a little bit for them more. And I mean, they're up 50-48 right now. And if they can go back to Miami up 2-0, that's going to be wild. Especially with now, Jimmy's not playing tonight. And they got Jalen Brunson back and Julius Randle back, who did play in game one. So it can get real messy for them real fast, depending on what happens tonight. Nuggets and the Suns, Cardell was spot on again. It's the depth. Like they just don't have anybody else back there. Had they not had that whole haul, you would be thinking Mikal Bridges would be coming in. You would think Cam will be coming in, not the Cam they have now, Cam Payne, but Cam Johnson will be coming in. And, they got a lot of experience throughout the season with Book being hurt and them being thrusted into kind of the quote unquote spotlight. And they got a lot of experience. And, this would be a time they would definitely be needing him, especially with, again, Chris Paul going out with these injuries. And as you can see him going out, it definitely stifled their offense. They didn't have anybody to settle them down. And the Nuggets are just playing out of their mind, to be completely honest. I mean, I know in game one, Jamal Murray, everybody keeps talking about this bubble Murray thing, but this is the first time he's been healthy since the bubble, and it shows. And you can see how well he's playing. Granted, he didn't have a great game too, but that's why they have MVP caliber player back there, and even though he won, Jokic back there. And he shows up. He does exactly what his team needs him to do when they need him to do it. They need him to score, he's going to do that. If they need him to facilitate, he's going to do that. And shout out to Jeff Green, still out there playing. He's giving them a lot of good minutes off the bench as well. Aaron Gordon. They're just playing team ball, and it's nice to see now because, like you said, a lot of people were skeptical about the Nuggets. through the past couple of seasons. But you can see now with them actually having some good players around them, with Murray being back and Gordon not having to do as much as he had to do in the previous years. He can just play his role now. And Michael Porter Jr. coming back off from the back injury that he had previously as well. They're just kind of clicking on all cylinders. And I mean, Book and KD didn't shoot that well in the last game. I don't expect them to continue to shoot, to not shoot that well. So I think it's still wide open, but I mean, being down 0-2 is tough. So I'm interested to see how that series shapes out. And the Warriors and Lakers series, I'm super excited for that. Like, I'm gonna make sure I stay up all night tonight. I'm gonna try my best not to fall asleep, so I can make sure that I watch this series. Yeah, I mean, I really think it does come down to the role players. Who's going to be able to, the role players, and who's going to be able to stop Steph? Who are they going to be putting on Steph, and who are they going to be able to handle him? I think Kevon Looney is playing great. I think him and I really want to see the matchup with him and AD for a good series, because Kevon Looney has been living on the offensive boards, and I mean living there. I think he's had like at least 2 20-plus rebound games in his last series, and he just does everything they need him to do. He knows they're not running any plays for him. He knows he's going to get his points, or his contribution to the team is going to be getting on the boards, getting them extra shots, putting up extra shots if he needs to. And it's just crazy. And like you said, also, I think Andrew Wiggins definitely plays against LeBron very, very well. So I'm interested to see that matchup too, knowing that, it looks like he's starting to getting his legs back from being out of those games earlier in the season as well. And I think it's going to be a dogfight, but I mean, I definitely also agree that people are underestimating the fact that the Warriors have home court in this series. And that's definitely going to help them. So yeah, I'm just excited for the next round. And to say that this is the first time, I think they said ever, that in the second round they've had every number seed in here is wild. To have a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 3 seed, a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all in the second round is crazy. I definitely think it attributes to a lot of injuries that have happened during the season and this playoff season as well. So I really don't want to see any more injuries. It's starting to get a little OD, but I'm just excited to see all the games continue.
And yeah, I'm gonna start on the East with Boston and Philly. Yeah, that's a terrible loss for Boston in the first game. You get them at home without their best player. I mean, you got to come away with that game. And they, like you guys have said, I think they just lose focus at times and play with their food. Like that first round series, they shouldn't have won 6 games against the Hawks. As far as I'm concerned, they should have got rid of them earlier than that. But yeah, man, that's a terrible loss. They definitely got to respond in game 2. And yeah, I'm with you, Cardell. That last play, like, you got smart on Harden and you willingly switch to give them the mismatch they want. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, man. And they got what they deserve, So and people are underestimating coaching as well, because like Cardell pointed out, Doc Rivers, man, he made the necessary adjustments, and Missoula just couldn't respond, and we saw that in the Knicks and Heat game 1 as well. That defensive adjustment Spoelstra made, it bottled the Knicks up, and they couldn't get into their offenses easily, and that gave the Heat the rope to finish the game off, and man, these dudes are trouble, like they're gritty, they play defense, they got guys who've been here before. They're not a typical AC, man. So I think the sooner people realize that, the less surprising their progress through these playoffs are going to be. But they're playing good basketball, man, and especially given how the Knicks played in the first round. It seems like they reviewed the tape really well, and they're ready to counteract that. Nuggets and Suns, yeah, just I'm with the group, man. The depth is the biggest difference here, and it's not only that, they gave up their depth to get KD. They didn't have that much time with him, because basically as soon as he got here, he got hurt. And I don't know if guys think this is 2K or something, but you can't just plug a dude in and have 8 games with him be ready for a playoff run. I mean, I know KD is a otherworldly talent, but I mean, continuity is a thing. And this Nuggets team, their core has been together for a minute now, and they got some valuable pieces. So that's the Suns got a big hole to climb out of, especially now with CP3 going out. And yeah, by the time he come back, this thing might be over unless they they turn things around swiftly. They got the comfort of going back home. People typically say the series don't really start until somebody wins on the road, but this series has started. And Phoenix they better get in gear fast, man, because the Nuggets look like the clearly superior team through the first 2 games. And if you want to just count on KD and Devin Booker to score your way out this series, it's not gonna happen, man. The Nuggets, they just got too much from top to bottom. And the Suns role players, they're just gonna have to step up. That just is what it is, especially with Chris Paul injury. So we'll see how that goes. But to that point, in their favor, they do have 2 guys that can both put your lights out by themselves. So, hopefully the rest of the team can just kind of give them enough and allow those two to be superheroes. But yeah, they got a tall mountain to climb. And yeah, this Warriors Lakers series is gonna be great. It's gonna be interesting to see that how they deal with Looney. AD is gonna have to get out there and bang because that dude is cleaning up everything on the glass. And that was the main reason why they were able to get the Kings up out of there, and like Cardell pointed out, Draymond, he's gonna have to be present on offense. Like that 4 and 5 stuff not gonna fly. They gotta make everybody be responsible for somebody to allow that offense to flow. So and then Steph's gonna be Steph. It's going to be real interesting to see how they try to deal with him because he is on one, So, yeah, man. Then, of course, the Lakers have LeBron. He, what he's going to bring. But yeah, Wiggins, I feel like he's up to the challenge. Of course, you're not going to stop LeBron, but I think Wiggins got the tools to make things harder for him. So, and it's good to have a guy like that can defend most of the time without needing help. That's going to help Golden State tremendously. So their defense isn't compromised too much. So yeah, man, it's got 2 pretty experienced teams, a lot of talent. So yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. And I'm with Octavia, man. I'm drinking coffee and taking no-dos right now. So so we can get through the end of this thing.
All right, with that, we're going to take a first break.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
One matchup I am looking forward to in that Lakers Warriors series is the Klay Thompson also Reeves matchup. I don't think people fan. I think they're gonna go at it. I think it's gonna get a little chippy, man. I can see that happening. Man. So yeah, I'm with y'all. I'm gonna be up, man. That's a fun one.
They're gonna have everybody on West Coast time by the time we get to the next round. For sure, because nobody's missing this. All right, y'all, we're taking a first break. When we get back, Cardell's going to talk about the Capitol Classic. You guys are watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, Cardell, the floor is yours. Capitol Classic took place this week.
Yeah, the 50th annual Capitol Classic return to the entertainment and sports arena in D.C. for the first time since I believe 2019. Obviously, COVID shut it down for a couple years, and this was the first year return. And for those that may not know, the ESA, what we call around here, but the entertainment and sports arena is the home of the Washington Mystics and Capital City Go-Go, as well as the practice facility for the Washington Wizards. The United States fielded a talented team with the likes of Mikey Williams, who you probably seen and heard about. He's been a social media sensation since he was a freshman in high school. He's committed to Memphis. Actually, his high school teammate, Jamonte J.J. Taylor, is also headed to Memphis, and KJ Lewis, who's headed to Arizona, while the Capital All-Stars brought some of the brightest prep players from the DMV, notable players like Mount St. Joseph's, Amani Hansberry, who's the Baltimore Catholic League Player of the Year. He's committed to Illinois. St. Francis guard Jonathan Lamar, he's going to Maryland. And fellow St. Francis standout Carlton Carrington, he's headed to Pittsburgh. The Capital also jumped on them real quick. It looked like it was about to be a blowout. They jumped out to a 21-10 first quarter lead thanks to a stingy defense that held the U.S. All-Stars to 21% shooting from the field, which included 0-8 from deep, while capitalizing on numerous turnovers to get out in transition and to get easy baskets. In the second quarter, the U.S. All-Stars, they found their rhythm offensively, connecting on 9-18 from the field and 9-13 from the free throw line to outscore the Capital All-Stars 28-27 in the period as they trailed 48-38 at the half. The third quarter, that's when things became interesting. The U.S. All-Stars run continued from the second quarter. This time they utilized their size advantage inside, and the U.S. team behind Mike Nwoko, who's headed to Miami, and 16 Cameron Barnes, who recently committed to Ole Miss. They dominated the Capital All-Stars on the offensive glass, going on a 13-0 run in the quarter to outscore the Capital team 24-11 in the period to take a 62-59 lead after the third quarter. U.S. All-Stars also held the Capital All-Stars to 420 shooting in the third quarter. The final period saw the Capital All-Stars seize control of the game thanks to efficient three-point shooting led by Pennsylvania commit Tyler Perkins, whose back-to-back threes late in the fourth quarter gave the Capital All-Stars an 8-point lead and the cushion they needed to finish off the U.S. All-Stars 90-81. The Capital team shot 60% from deep in the fourth quarter. That's what won the game. The MVP of the game was Tyler Perkins, Landon Starr, first team All-Met, headed to Pennsylvania. He had game-high 23 points and 5 rebounds, 8-12 shooting from the field, and 5-7 from deep. Look, man, Perkins, he's a natural scorer, natural shooter. He's both. It's rare to find both in player. Normally, they one or the other. He could do a little bit of both. He was outstanding. He wasn't afraid in the moment. And when he had his opportunity, he took the big shots and he hit them. And he was well-deserved the MVP. Without those 3-pointers he hit in the fourth quarter, I don't know if the Capital All-Stars would have held on because it was close. If they were only up 3 at that time. And when he hit those back-to-back threes, it kind of broke the U.S. team, man. His story is crazy because just last year he had no offers. At this time last year, he had no offers. He only had Division III offers. Then he got in the lab, got better very quickly, and then on the AAU circuit he blew up. And by the time July rolled around, he had 10 plus D1 offers. He come from a family of educators, so he went to the Ivy League route, signed to Pennsylvania, even though he had more, I guess you could say, more programs with better basketball prestige, so to speak, that have offered him. He went the education route, man, but the rate he's improving is scary. He can make a lot of noise once he hit the college. The other standout, 6'8", Amani Hansberry, I just spoke with him, Baltimore Catholic League Player of the Year out of Mount St. Joseph, going to Illinois. He's a mix, man. He reminds me a lot of Othello Harrington. They used to play at Georgetown, played about 8, 9, 10 years in the league. 12 points, 8 rebounds, to 6-12 shooting in the game. He also showed he got a little Draymond in him. He was getting the ball going coast to coast. Actually could pass the ball well. Only time he really had trouble is when he tried to, go through traffic to score. They were stripping him a little bit, but other than that, man, he was key, especially defensively, man. He held his own on the perimeter. He definitely was banging inside, making sure the much bigger U.S. team, they really didn't get nothing outside the third quarter when they was pounding the offensive glass or whatnot. But outside of that, you didn't hear much from their bigs, man. He was a big reason for that. So Illinois definitely got a good one coming. Next up is Jamie Kaiser, IMG grad. He's going to Maryland. 6'6", 6'7" kid. Had 12 points, 3 rebounds. He loves the 3-ball. He can shoot it. He can definitely shoot. I honestly feel like he falls in love with the 3-ball too much. He need to utilize breaking guys down to mix it up a little bit. But regardless, he was a big part of that big lead in the first quarter. He got out on transition, had a couple of dunks, hit a couple threes, and from then on, the Capital team was just in rhythm. You know what I mean? So, and also defensively, because of his size, it was hard for the U.S. team to get in their sets and try to make something happen on the perimeter, man. So, look, he he's a special talent in his own right, but he has some room to grow, especially in a college atmosphere. But in a college system, he can thrive easily with the way he can shoot the ball and understands how to play the game. Next up is Jonathan DeMoth from St. Francis, who's also going to Maryland. He had 10 points to 3 rebounds. He's just a combo guard. He can do it all. Play both guard spots, be a point for one quarter, then get you buckets in the next quarter. He blends both well, man. The thing that stood out to me was he accepted the challenge of trying to slow down Mikey Williams and, Devin Vanderpool, who I'm going to talk about later, and KJ Lewis, man. His defense was outstanding, man. And even when he got beat, he didn't just give up. He still tried to stay with the man, recover, either strip him from behind or block shots. And then, like, when Tyler got hot, he didn't force shots. Like, man, I'm trying to get mine. He kept finding Tyler, who had a high hand. That's how they were able to win the game, thinking like a point guard. That's what I mean, man. He blends both well. And, with his size being about 6'4", 6'5", he's a welcome addition to Maryland, man. They got a lot of young talent coming in. That freshman class is loaded, man. So they can live up to the billing and what they showed in high school. Maryland they're gonna be tough to beat. They're gonna be tough to beat right away. Next up is Carlton Carrington, who was actually in the backcourt at St. Francis with Lamar. He's headed to Pittsburgh. He had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. That's what he does, man. He does a little bit of everything. He's a streaky shooter. What I'm saying? He's not a knockdown shooter, but when he gets hot, he can put 30, 40 on the board easily, man. But like I said, similar to Lamar, he took the challenge defensively. They both, you could tell, took it personal with the kind of guards that the U.S. team had, that they weren't going to allow these guys to just come in and, in a sense, have them go viral is, in a way of getting torched. You know what I mean? They made sure that wasn't going to happen. And their defense was key, especially down the stretch late in the game. When Tyler was hitting the big baskets, they was making sure that Mikey and all those guys, KJ Lewis and Vanderpool and all those guys, they weren't coming back to answer. You know what I mean? It was pressuring full court, picking them up half court, just making life hell, making it tough on them, making those guys have to work for each basket, man. And that was key to the win for the Capital team. And last but not least, Malik Mack of the St. John's. He's going to Harvard. He has 6 points. He didn't shoot the ball well at all. He was 1 for 9 from the field. He had 1 3-pointer, and the other 3 came from free throws. But he had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals with 0 turnovers. True point guard, man. Knows how to play the game. And he was definitely key throughout the game as controlling games, except in the third quarter. And the reason why that was because the U.S. team, the bigs, they were just getting every offensive board and going right back up and scoring. That's the only thing that saved them. Otherwise, the game probably would have been a blowout. He controlled the game, man. He slowed it down. He sped it up when it was necessary. He got guys shots when they were supposed to get shots, where they were supposed to get shots. You know what I'm saying? So you could tell his IQ for the game is already at a upperclassman college level already, man. And that comes with playing in the WCAC. You're gonna have that that advanced understanding of how to play. And that it goes to show you how talented he is, that he didn't shoot the ball well at all, but you can say he's one of the dominant players on the floor. Because in the All-Star game, he pretty much, if it had been a normal game, he'd have been working on a quadruple double with the 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. He only played half the game, half the minute. So imagine if you played damn near the entire game and not to have a single turnover. So that tells you about his talent. So if he would have hit a few buckets, the game wouldn't have been close. Definitely been hearing about him all season. I'm excited to see what he does at Harvard. Now, for the U.S. All-Stars, the MVP for them was Mikey Williams, who's headed to Memphis. He had 20 points and 3 rebounds. But we all know he can get buckets. Seeing him all over social media. He can break you down. He can shoot from deep. The only thing I ever say he need to get better at is actually making the guys around him better. You could tell he kind of turns into the black hole a little bit where he gets tunnel vision about getting his. And I get it, man. With as talented of a scorer as he is, it can become addictive, man. But when you got other guys around you that can get it done, you got to set that up. So I feel like at times he shot him in the game and at times he shot him out of the game. But you can see the talent, man. He's going to Memphis. He's playing for Penny Hardaway. And we all know what Penny did in the league. So it'll be good for him to help expand his game in an all-around fashion. KJ Lewis is my first time seeing him. Duncanville, Texas, headed to Arizona. He's probably the best, I say, two-way guard in the game as far as being an effective scorer, going and doing a number of things as far as rebounding. And then on the defense, man, he's a pest, man. He's strong. He can move his feet. He can go. He's a versatile defender as well. He had 4 steals in the game, finished with 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 steals. So that kind of tells you about his defensive prowess, including one on Tyler. Tyler, he's left-handed. He picked that up real quick, and Tyler tried to drive left-handed, try to muscle him, picked him clean, man, just went all the way for the dunk, man. So, don't be shocked to hear about him making some noise next year, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, the thing for freshmen in college, the best way to get on the floor is with defense, and he already excels at that. So he's a little bit ahead of the game. Next up is Devin Vanderpool from Christ the King out of New York. He's headed to Florida Atlantic, finished with 9 points and 7 rebounds. He's the son of David Vanderpool, who's a local product, former standout player, played at St. Bonaventure, was the Brooklyn Nets assistant coach before, Steve Nash and all of them came on board, or whatever, KD and Kyrie and all those guys came. Been chilling the last couple of years, just training and, spending time with his son. And his son has emerged as one of the top players in the country. He's super solid in every area. That's what he understands how to play the game, loves to do his damage from the mid-range, knows how to play winning basketball, as you can see with the 7 rebounds, understands how to defend and whatnot. Getting more efficient from deep as far as shooting the 3 ball will expand his game. Getting better with his handles, breaking guys down, getting to the free throw line as well. That will help him expand his scoring and match everything else he does well all around. And then it's truly up from there, man. You can see it in him. You see he has the tools. It's just a matter of putting it all together. And last but not least is Javonte J.J. Taylor, who's also going to Memphis, 6'7". Boy, looked like he got like a 7'3" wingspan, super athletic, versatile, had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. Talent-wise, he's probably the most talented player in the game because of his size and athleticism. If he put it all together, he has a chance of being one and done. And notice he's the only one I said that about, because you could just see it. Right now, you could tell that he doesn't understand everything that he is, but he knows he's good. You can throw lobs to him. He can play in the post. He's a great slasher. He can shoot the ball. He can actually play some point. He can handle the ball well. And then defensively, man, with his length and his athleticism, if he bulk up a little bit in college, man, he can play 1 through 5. Depending on who the 5 is, man. Like, he's that talented. And that's what I mean by when he really understands everything he's capable of, which is what the coaching staff at Memphis, Penny Hardaway and them, are in charge of bringing out of him, it can get scary. It can really get scary, and he can flourish and be one of those guys that, as the season goes along, you hear in the draft talks, it's possibly being a first-round pick or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But that's on him, man, to put in the work, man, and continue to grow, man. But he definitely has the tools, man. The game comes easy to him. So, it's a very intriguing player to keep an eye on, man. So that's my take from the 50th Capital Classic.
And with that, we're going to take our second break. When we get back, if you're a DC United fan, some good news. How about that? Some weeks was kind of rough. 3 weeks in a row, good news. I'm sure you guys can guess what type of result we'll be discussing when we get back. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. Look, I already spoiled it. Doing a 3-game win streak. I told you guys a couple weeks ago. The wonderful thing about this sport is wins cost 3 points. So win streaks are they're almost double as valuable in other sports when, a 3-game win streak usually means 3 wins. 3 wins equals 9 points here. 9 points means you get to leapfrog people on the table. A couple weeks ago, they were down in 13th. After winning their 3rd consecutive game this weekend, they are now in 7th. They're above that nasty little line that means, hey, no, you can't be part of the postseason, which is great. So, again, they're in 7th. That's not to say that they've reached their season goals or anything of that nature. But we're going to make this quick and easy, man. It was fun times to be had at Audi Field this past weekend. Right here, you see Andy Nahar slip between 2 guys, finds Taxi. Because it's soccer, it took the official an extra 2 minutes to, decide on the review and decide that it was going to be a penalty. So DC gets awarded the penalty. Taxi does what he does. Shout out to the keeper. He guessed right. Just doesn't matter. They teach you one of the very basic fundamentals. Strike hard, put it in the low corners, and you live with it. Most keepers, no matter what level, it's a tough place to get. Here off a free kick, gonna see something kind of special here. Well, no, not this one yet. I'm sorry. This is just a great shot by Lewis O'Brien. DC United was kind of up and down in the first half. In the second half, they came out very aggressive. Big save here by Tyler Miller. Last thing you want is a road team to get comfortable right here. 1-1. Probably would have took some of the air out of the stands. But that wasn't to be an issue because, you know, just a little bit later, gonna probably see this might hold up as the goal of the year for DC United. It definitely was up there for the goal of the week in the MLS. And this is why Christian Benteke is Christian Benteke. It's this straight FIFA stuff right here on the game. He hit the right buttons. That's how he felt. As a very large man, deciding to ride the bike right there. DC United goes up 2-0. Again, just a big second half for them. You see them trying, like starting, Ray mentioned earlier, we were talking about NBA playoffs, continuity kind of being important. Who knew? You know, you start having these same 11 starters in consecutive weeks. People start getting used to each other. But again, a hell of a finish here by Benteke. And this is what you pay guys like this for. And yeah, I know he's on the back end of his career, but again, that's impressive whether it was in year 17 or year 5. Hell of a finish. Jacob Green, the youngster, he comes in this game a little bit later. And this is the type of night DC United was having. In stoppage time, the youngster gets an opportunity to slot one in. Lewis O'Brien gets by his man, plays the ball into the box, and you know, things worked out for him. It looked like he was trying to get this to Benteke. The Belgian slipped, and the youngster was right there to knock this back home, and you know, out he went crazy. Again, it capped their their third consecutive win, something they definitely needed. So credit to them for that. For DC United this weekend, they will be heading out on the road to take on FC Cincinnati with the familiar face. Luciano Acosta is over there. Also, in other news today, which is Tuesday when we were recording, they had a naming ceremony for their training center, which they opened about, I want to say last year and a half. It is officially called the Innova Performance Complex. As far as the Mystics go, you got Mystics Media Day this week. Preseason starts this weekend. You guys know how women's basketball goes. Once it gets started, there's not a bunch of breaks in between. Training camp, preseason, 2 weeks from now, regular season, regular season opener. Regular season home opener. I cannot speak. I apologize. Regular season home opener 2 weeks from now. Gonna probably try to do a playback or something for the preseason game. If it is in fact televised, we'll be taking on Minnesota. One of the biggest themes from Media Day is they want to build on last year's when they were the best defense in the league, but they all to a woman had no issue saying that the offense was kind of just bad. The biggest thing they wanted to emphasize is space. Just having more space, providing better spacing this year. Della Don mentioned, having her first healthy offseason in quite a while. Eric Tebow, because I always want to say Coach T, and it's not the same person anymore, even though technically it applies. Eric Tebow, new head coach, what he was talking about was just having her around, hopefully all the time this year, will help them deal with things where the type of coverages other teams present in terms of how they defend her, the rest of the team would get used to it, where at times last year, because she was in and out of the lineup, they struggled with adapting at times. Christy Tolliver thinks she should get GM of the Year for pretty much bringing over a couple Sparks players with her, and, we'll keep an eye on that and see how that goes. But, look, we want to thank y'all for tuning in. Truly do. Going to be a lot to happen between now and next week. We'll be talking about actual WNBA basketball, even though it's a preseason game. At least it'll be a game, not just words being shared, but a game. Something to break down and discuss. We're looking forward to that. And who knows what the NBA playoffs are going to look like by next week. As always, we thank you guys for spending time with us. Don't forget, Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m. On our Roku channel. If you have a Roku television or device, all you have to do is type in Focus TV in the search box, double tap OK to add the channel. And there you have it. If you're in the DC area, you can watch us Friday nights at 10 p.m., Saturday evenings 4:30 p.m. on your DC TV. Or you can just go to dctv.org and you can look on the schedule. You'll find our show and you can watch it. You can live stream it right there. Again, y'all have a great week. enjoy. Obviously you guys are gonna watch Lakers Warriors tonight. Enjoy it and enjoy the craziness that's gonna be Twitter during this series. I'm sure it's gonna be very mature. But y'all have a good week.